Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my friend who loves to listen to things that might potentially bore him. It's Frank. How are you today?
No, I don't want to read a book. No.
Frank, we're podcasting. Wake up.
What? No. Dumbo.
Oh, Sleepy Frank is...
No, yes. Hi. I'm here.
Hello.
I'm here.
Hello,
yeah.
Frank. How are you?
Good. Energetic. Good.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
I
think
know that about you.
I think that. That's the most convinced anyone's ever sounded. Hello, yes, I think that.
Yes, I think that.
Good.
That's how I am in meetings. Tim, what do you think? Yes, I think that.
Yes. Whatever you just
it's all
said.
About
yes.
balance. Yeah. Whatever anybody else said. Yes.
Hi, bud. No, I am not going to be bored by this. I am actually very excited for this, and I've been asking you to do this topic for a while. So I'm glad it's finally happening. How are you?
It's true. I am doing well. I am living a crazy life right now with school, so work being back, and we're hybrid and we're in, and there's like kids on the TV in my room, but there's also kids in front of me, and it's like the Jetsons but not whimsical. So it's it's crazy pants right now. But Frank, I finished my master's degree. And so that's so when I left you last podcast, I was but the learner, but now I am the master.
Nice.
So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm very happy. That's one less thing to worry about. And if I tilt my screen up, you can it's actually
there it is,
sitting on my wall. If you notice, the with distinction sticker is kind of crooked. Whoever put that on my diploma, which is super annoying.
That would bother me. Actually, that would be.
I know. I'll never. It was the first thing I noticed. I was like, wow, oh, come on.
Well, of course, because you're a master. Of course, you would notice those things.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's my job to notice diagonal lines.
It is.
Now. That's part of being a master.
Well, I think you're just a master of everything. I thought that's how it worked.
And nothing.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Okay,
My degree's in the humanities. I have a master of nothing.
So you're a master of being a human, which includes, unless I'm very much mistaken, putting stickers on correctly.
That is correct. I know of no other animal that puts stickers on incorrectly.
Right. So
there
you go.
Yeah. Fish, get out of here.
Yeah,
right,
fish.
Every time. So anyway.
There's no such thing as a fish anyway. Tell me, what, pray tell, might you be drinking today?
Oh, I'm drinking something that it comes from the land of Germany.
Oh,
Frank. Yeah. But it's imported, so like literally comes from the land. It literally comes from the land of Germany. This beer was given to me by a friend of mine. Kind of like hey, you should try this because you like beer. It is a Weihenstephaner. You know of Weihenstephaner.
I do. I love it.
It's the world's oldest beer, or Germany's oldest. No, it's the world's oldest brewery, which is pretty freaking cool. And I'm drinking their Feist. I'm drinking their Feist beer.
Feistbier,
which is kind of like. They say it's kind of like their Oktoberfest, so like Munich's Oktoberfest, the real one.
Sure.
But it's more of a lager with like a Pilsner malt like dry biscuity kind of
Yeah.
feel to it. It's very tasty. Like drink 10 of them tasty. And so I mean, because Germany does beer very well, as we know. There's a reason they have the oldest brewery and it's still going.
This is very true.
But it's a 5.8. It's not like it's not like it's going to slap you in the face
Right.
either, because it's a lager pilsner, So, but it's so good. I do recommend if you can get your hands on it.
So you're leaning into October already.
I mean, it's not an Oktoberfest. It is a Festbier.
Sure.
So, but I am, I guess, leaning in that direction. It being, mid-September. So
Sure.
Sure.
Yep.
Try to remember
The kind of
September when I drank a beer with my friend Francis.
I don't know the words to that song beyond the word September, so I sometimes just sort of improvise it. And not the other day, but one time recently, I was like, try to remember the kind of September, the gunpowder treason and plot. Those aren't the words. That's not even the right month.
You're leaning into November.
I'm leaning into
bypassed
November.
October completely.
Have we ever done V for Vendetta on this podcast?
I don't know, Frank.
All right,
but
I'm gonna put a pin in that.
I'm all for doing it. I love V for Vendetta.
Man, I love that movie. But yeah,
it's kind of sad now. That one's. I'm going to watch it and be like, why does America have a plague happening in it right now in that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard the states formerly united. Anyway, that's what I'm leaning into. Well, I am kind of leaning into October though, truthfully, and almost November, because I'm doing it. I have gone the pumpkin. Gone to the pumpkin.
Went so early.
I know. Well,
it technically is. I mean, they grow in August.
It is
seasonal.
It is a seasonal gourd. And we are in that season. The temperatures are starting to head towards fall, and so that's what I'm doing with my beer too, I guess. I was visiting family in New York. It's so weird, visiting anybody nowadays. Right now, is like, okay, well, I'm going to visit you in your backyard, and we're going to stay, 6 feet apart, and we're going to wear masks whenever we're walking around or whatever.
I mean, I was doing it for years. I'm just glad the world's finally catching up.
I know, right? Seriously.
Yeah.
Now I have an excuse never to leave my house. But yeah, so that was weird, but nice to see my family. But while I was down there, I decided to peruse the shelves of what kind of beers I could get in New York that I can't get in Massachusetts, and I came across Blue Point. Blue Point is a local Long Island brewery that I've been sort of following for a few years. I guess I think they have facilities in New Hampshire too, but Patchogue, New York is the one that I've visited their brewery there, and so I got their Mother Pumpkin Ale, which is it's brewed with pumpkin and spices, and it's delightful. I love it. It's great. It's a nice straightforward pumpkin ale, and is A-okay with me. So.
Does it slap you in the face like you got hit in the head with a pumpkin, or is it kind of mellow as far as pumpkin beers go?
Pretty mellow. It's more ale than pumpkin, if that makes sense.
Ooh, yes, that sounds good to me, because sometimes pumpkin can be heavy.
It can.
Like if some pumpkin drinks are they really will sit in your stomach for a while. They're not. I don't gravitate towards them. I gravitate towards the cinnamon ring more than the pumpkin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's only 5.5%, and it's not super heavy on the pumpkin. It's not overly heavy. I think it's a really nice and balanced pumpkin ale, and it's not like, probably my favorite pumpkin beer is Southern Tier Pumpkin, and that I feel like is really pumpkin heavy. You can only really have like one or two of those at a time, for me anyway. Before it's sort of like, all right, cool, that was good. I'm going to switch to something else now, because that was a lot. It was good, but a lot. So this at least is a little bit more, a little more balanced. So yeah, like, hey, these are two good beers we got going on here: Festbier and the pumpkin ale. So right
I know normally one of us is like, this is a good beer, and the other one is like, this was in the back of my fridge.
I just had
I'm
this.
not even sure if it's beer anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this beer is wine. Oh my god,
how did that happen?
Yeah, this beer is a Jello mold.
Jello beer.
There's something to that.
I think that. So, Tim, now that you are a master Tim, if you'll allow me, permit me to call you that. I would like to hear. What?
Before you even go, you said, Master Tim, can I call you that? And the first thought I had in my head was, Master Skywalker, what are we going to do?
Not Master Wayne? You went to Master Skywalker?
Out of all of Star Wars, where everyone gets called Master this and Master that, but I went right for Master Skywalker, what are we going to do?
I didn't even think of Star Wars. I went right to Master Wayne.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I want to just point something out. You have a framed piece of paper on your wall that says that you are a master of humanities, and Anakin was like, well, "You are not a master, so have a seat, young Skywalker."
Good point.
So,
Master Skywalker, that's why he killed those kids.
Don't remind me.
That kid was taunting him. Master Skywalker. And
he's like, I've had enough of your
but
crap, Larry. That's it.
It should have been like Jedi Knight Skywalker. What are we going to do?
Right? Now you're just rubbing it in my face, Larry. All right, this is
Larry the Padawan.
Larry the Padawan. Oh man,
that's gross.
So is that what you wrote about to become a master?
Yes,
you wrote about Larry the Padawan.
The Padawan. You nailed it. Oh God, yeah. So anyway, it's a master's in the humanities, but my concentration was in film studies. So like you could have gone a couple different directions. You could go, creative writing or a full on English or whatever. And I went film because your master's degree is like, all right, well this is for me. I mean, it's for work also. They made me get it, but so it's for me. What do I want to study? And so I chose to study film. So when it came time to do my thesis, my big capstone project, like I could have done almost anything. I could have written about anything. And since I started my master's almost 3 years ago, I was like, what would I want to write about? Because I got to write 40 to 60 Word document pages about something. And it's got to be good because, I need a crooked sticker that says that I graduated summa cum laude. So,
of course.
So I, in the course of like studying like all these different types of films and directors and genres and all this stuff, I kind of became attracted to two different like opposing things. One of them is monster. One of them is monster films, right? So like why are monsters such alluring imagery, and why do we keep coming back to them? Why is that well still full? And then this philosophical idea of otherness. So there's this because when you're studying humanities, you have to do, lit theory and film theory and all these different types of philosophies and apply them to stories. So there's this theory that was put out by this guy named Hegel, who was not a good writer, but he had great ideas. Like many of my students.
That's what I wanted my tombstone to say. Not a good writer, but he had great ideas.
He had great
Not
ideas.
A good podcaster, but he had
good ideas.
But
like,
ideas.
But that like the tombstone should be like spelled wrong, or it should have muddled sentence structure. To send that point.
Like
home.
I wrote it.
Yeah,
not
right,
a great writer.
Exactly. Yeah, writer of mediocre, but
yeah,
like ooh, so close.
But ideas okay.
But ideas okay. So anyway, so I took this idea of otherness, which is Hegel's idea that you are your person, you are yourself, right? And so you are Frank, I am Tim, and everybody else around us that's not like us, or you, we'll say you, Frank, is an other. Okay. So you are another person, and you, Frank, to fully be yourself, have to recognize the other. You have to recognize yourself within the other. Okay. So Hegel does this. He uses this thing called the master-slave dialectic, and so the master, looks at the slave and says, "You're like me. I know that. I need to figure out why, so we can both be the same, so we can both be on the same level." Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm
You
following.
following me so far?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's Heigel's big idea, and like it goes on. He to sum up, spoilers. His idea is that there needs to be a synthesis, and so there's the thesis and there's the antithesis, and together they form the synthesis.
Sure.
And
Okay.
so there is like so like Blade from Marvel
Yes.
is a synthesis. So humans are the thesis, vampires are the antithesis, Blade is the synthesis
Got
of
it.
those two
You
things.
bring them
together,
together and you
okay?
create synthesis.
You
Yep.
bring them together, you form this new thing, and that's what everyone is kind of supposed to do to be a fully formed person.
Right.
And so there isn't divisions of people. You kind of have to form newness, and that's his big idea. And other people, other philosophers, other writers took that idea and ran with it, and they either ran with him or they ran completely against him. And so these other psychologists and psychiatrists and all philosophers, stuff like that. So I chose Hegel because he's the first one, and then I chose two other people who I'll get to, and I chose to apply their different versions of otherness into a film about a monster that shares that philosophy.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I wrote about Hegel's philosophy and Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water, and how he believes in how del Toro seemingly believes the same as Hegel in there. And then I wrote about this guy named Frans Fanon, who was Albanian, and he was all about the revolution. And so like you have to be violent for somebody else to recognize the other. So to be recognized, like, hello, I'm over here, recognize me as a person and not just a thing. You need to be violent to do that. That's where kind of like revolutions come from. That's like all revolutions. Like America is like, hello, Great Britain, we're people too. We deserve representation.
Yes.
That's Great Britain othering America.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, you're different. You're crass. Whatever. And more stuff. So I took Peter Jackson's King Kong, his remake, and I applied that to Frans Fanon or Fanon. Is it Albanian or Algerian? Algerian. I said Albanian, but I meant Algerian. Or did I mean? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm getting trapped in my own words. So I took the violence as recognition, because that's Kong's big thing, right?
Right.
Like he literally goes on sprees, like across every version of every film in that story, to be like, hello, I'm a thinking thing. I'm not just this animal that you think I am.
Right. So like the fits of rage or perceived rage are really Kong asking to be seen,
recognized.
Yes,
to be seen. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And so I'll get to it. I'll go through each one as I go through. And then I also wrote about Slavoj Žižek's version of otherness, which is he says Hegel's synthesis is a nice idea. He's like, yeah, okay, so you want to merge them together, but he's like, actually, that's not necessary. None of that is actually necessary. You just need to recognize that somebody is different than you and be okay with that, the end, and let them be them and let you be you. And that's actually kind of where we are culturally right now. This idea of people who like, I don't see color, things like that. This idea of diversity, that's very Hegelian. This like, I don't see color because we're merging into something new here. And protests in like violent protests in Black Lives Matter is very Fanonian. Like I need to like the violent recognition. I need to be seen.
Yes.
And then Zizek is almost like peaceful protesting, where it's like, this is us, this is what we're saying, and we need to work together to form something a little bit better. But if you're over there and you're over there, like that's, as long as we're both working towards something better, like recognize my context, my diversity, my everything, recognize me for me. That's Zizek. And so I took Tim Burton's remake of Dumbo to do that. And so then because Dumbo, King Kong, and the Amphibian Man from The Shape of Water are all different types of monsters. And so you don't really think about Dumbo as a monster, but he's a deformed elephant.
Yeah, no, it's
you know,
true.
and
That's a really
so-
yeah. I like that. I
yeah,
wouldn't have
so,
thought of that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so right, it's because he's cute, right? You know,
Right.
like that's the it's because he's cute. You're like, oh, Dumbo, you got big ears, and everyone loves you. But like when in each film, whether it's the original or the new one, people are like, ew, his ears are too big.
He's an
That's
oddity.
so
He's a curiosity.
gross. Yeah, he's a curiosity. Exactly. He's part of the circus.
Mm-hmm. He's very much othered.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, as are, and I'll start with Dumbo, and I'll kind of go backwards from what I said. So basically, Dumbo, Tim Burton's Dumbo, people didn't like it. I think it's brilliant. It's one of his best films, because it's more than the original Dumbo. The original Dumbo is a 60-minute film about an elephant with big ears who learns to fly. Right at the end of the film, that's the climax of the film. He's like, "Wow, I can fly." The end. And so that's only really the beginning of Burton's film. It's also about immigrants. It's about the circus. It's about a group of people who are othered in society, othering somebody else within their own group. I don't know. Have you seen it? I don't know if you've.
I haven't seen the
new
remake.
Dumbo.
No.
So it really is excellent. So it's like it takes place in 1919. So you're just on the cusp of circuses moving to stayed entertainment. So instead of traveling circuses, you get stuff like amusement parks like Coney Island and things like that. It's like there's a shift in the entertainment industry in the way that it's going. And so circus folk are already being pushed to the side, and that circus folk are it's all immigrants. You know, Danny DeVito is the ringleader, and he's an Italian American. And then you have people from India, and you have the people from Black community, and you have people who are fat and too skinny, and you have this and this and this. It's all these different oddities, all come together in the circus, and they want to be a family, and it's not working for them the way that it needs to work for them. And then you have Colin Farrell come home from World War I. His wife's died of the Spanish flu. Comes home to his 2 kids. He's missing an arm. So now you have this guy who used to be a stallion star right around. He was amazing. He was so good at everything that he did. And now he's different from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And he just because of his disability, and he can't be the person that he feels he can't be the person he once was, even though he's trying, but nobody really believes him that way. And so So he and Dumbo are now paralleled. So Dumbo comes into the picture, and you have Dumbo whose ears are too big, and he has, in his own way, a disability.
Sure.
And now now Colin Farrell's character also has a disability, and so they're working on together to accept themselves for who they are in the larger context of the world. So then you have Michael Keaton's character come in, who's like head of like a Coney Island type thing,
right?
Dreamland, and he's basically Tim Burton being like, "Hey, it's Walt Disney, everyone." And he's like, "I want to buy the circus. You're all going to come work for me. It's going to be great. You're going to be part of this thing." But he really wants Dumbo, and he's going to kick everybody else out because his whole thing is to make money.
Sure.
Disney.
Right.
We're going to pretend like it's a big family, but actually it's a business. Just FYI, we're here to make money. So that's it. So I mean, I don't want to spoil any of the films. So I'm doing my best to.
Sure.
I'm doing my best to talk around it. But that's basically it. It's about the circus trying to integrate, almost like in the Hegelian style. Like you're like, okay, let's make a synthesis. We took the circus and we took the amusement park and we smooshed them together, and let's see if that worked. And it doesn't quite work. And so the circus goes back and becomes something new, and they evolve, but they're still themselves,
right, at
the end. And so that's that's Dumbo. It's a really smart film, and it has a much larger depth to it than people gave it credit for, or maybe we're even looking for. A lot of times you don't. I think that happens a lot. You watch a movie and you're like, that plot was just okay, and you're like, all right, well, what else happened? The plot is almost secondary or third tier compared to everything else that happens inside a film. So that's the story, sure, but what is the story about? How does it get there? What does it do? How do characters relate to one another? What about this symbol? Oh, it's raining. That probably means something. Oh, it's dark and stormy. That probably means something too. Oh, it takes place in a castle. That's significant as well. Everything is always significant of something else. And so in a children's movie is no different. And so I also chose these 3 films, Dumbo, King Kong, and Shape of Water, because they're all for different age groups. Dumbo's for kids, King Kong's for everybody. It's PG-13, so it's adolescents, everybody. And Shape of Water is definitely for adults. And so it's about how do you talk about accepting the other to different age groups and what hits home for certain people. King Kong, we already talked about a little bit, his rage. He wants to be recognized, and he, becomes king. He literally, climbing up the Empire State Building, he is conquering the, phallic symbol of America.
Wow, yeah, true.
At the time, the world's tallest building, to be like, F you. This is, see me. And then what do? We kill him.
Yeah, wow.
The only person that sees him is this blonde woman who Ann Darrow,
right,
who is just a struggling vaudeville actress in Jackson's version, and she just wants to be seen herself, and the only person that really sees her is the monster. Most of these King Kong, Shape of Water are Beauty and the Beast stories. Dumbo, if I replaced it with Edward Scissorhands, kind of works the same way.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And then you got Carl Denham, who, have you seen King Kong?
That one I have seen, yeah.
You have seen this one?
Yep.
Yeah, so you got Carl Denham, who also wants to be seen, right? That's his whole point in capturing Kong. He's like, I want to be this director, I want to capture it, I want to do this thing, I want to do this thing, I want to do this thing, and I want everyone to see me, and he causes the violence that makes him want to be seen, so it all spirals down from him. But it's the connection between Kong and Anne that conquers. So the violence is actually not necessary, is what Kong is actually saying, because the violence only ends in tragedy, doesn't actually help anybody at the end, because if they didn't go to the island in the first place, then none of this would have happened. So
right,
but there would have been, maybe if that didn't happen, maybe there's no self-discovery for some characters, and so maybe it's necessary for Kong to die. There's a lot of questions up in the air. And then, we're running out of time a little bit on this episode, so I'm going to wrap up as fast as possible. And then The Shape of Water. Have you seen The Shape of Water?
Yes. I really enjoyed Shape of Water.
You have. Shape of Water is great. It's brilliant. It's so good. And you've got Guillermo del Toro does in The Shape of Water. He has 3 main characters that are all a different part of a different ostracized society in the 1960s. You have 2 janitors and an artist. One is mute, one is black, and one is gay. Right, and so in the 1960s America, where that's so obsessed with modernity, it's the future, it's the this, and we've got the chrome cars, and we've got going to space, and we've got this and this and this and this and this and this. It's these people behind the scenes that are kind of left in this wake. If The Shape of Water was made in the 50s, Michael Shannon's character, FBI agent, secret agent, he's the hero of the story.
Right.
Yeah, and the monster, the amphibian man, is the monster of the story. And Guillermo del Toro said, no, what about all the people who work there? What happens to those people, the ones that nobody thinks about? Because they're arguably more important than that FBI agent who you would think is the hero, but is actually the monster of the film. So Amphibian Man is not that, and you've seen it, so you know that. At the end of the film, we have you have these 3 characters, Giles, Zelda, and Eliza. And Eliza especially is the Hegelian synthesis, because she's got the gills, as we find out, so she's not human or amphibian man, she's something in the middle. And so she is the synthesis. And so to kind of wrap up, each one of these stories says to actually recognize somebody that needs to be recognized, so you yourself can be fulfilled, you need to start learning how to love, because that's what all of these stories are really about. Dumbo's about accepting yourself and loving. King Kong is about accepting others and loving. Shape of Water is about accepting yourself and loving. And it's all in a slightly different way, but at the end of the day, you have to put yourself aside to gain love, to then be fulfilled in yourself. That's what I wrote 60 pages about.
It's I've said this before. I've said this to you on mic. I've said this to you off mic. But there is nothing that makes me want to see a movie, that makes me almost. I mean, this is dramatic, but almost like ache to see a movie that I've never seen. Nothing does that like hearing you tell me why a movie is as good as it is. Like you have a very unique talent for being like, no, there's so many, like, yeah, this is Lake Placid is a terrible movie, but let me tell you why it's wonderful. And
I was just watching that the other day.
You tweeted about it, and I think that's what made me think of it. But you're very, very good at that. You've always been very good at that, and you'll convince me sometimes that a movie that I saw and I did not like, you'll convince me that it was better than I gave it credit for. And very few people can effectively do that the way you can. So, but these movies, I've seen 2 of the 3, and I liked them both. The two that I saw, but I didn't see Dumbo, and I probably wrote it off just based on trailers, for many of the reasons that you mentioned, and your description of it and your contextualizing of it and comparison of it with the other 2 films that I do know really makes me want to see that movie, and above all, really makes me want to read your thesis. So I'm excited to take a peek at a copy when I can. But thank you for sharing all of this with us today. I think this is this is the kind of analysis that you provide, whenever we're talking about movies on this show, or we talk about Supergirl on Supergirl TV Talk, or, when sort of time permits on Academy Rewind, when you can dive into some of those things. So, a little bit of...
Or Palmer, or just if Palmer lets me.
If Palmer lets me. He's like, no, it's bad and I hate it.
Okay, moving on. Okay.
That's funny. No, but it's true. You get little nuggets of that. So on these podcasts, and it's really cool to get to hear you like dive into this in an academic way. So thanks for sharing all that with us.
Thank you for letting me like flex a muscle that doesn't get to be flexed too often. I'm a teacher, so like I can, like, some of this I say in class, but a lot of, this is like, you don't bring Slavoj Žižek into the 10th grade. Like, sure. It ain't gonna happen.
Sure.
And so, yeah, they're barely like, okay, what is the central conflict of this story? And you're like, he doesn't like this person. Very good. He doesn't like that person.
Right.
Right. It's like, so it's fun to talk about like it's fun to talk about a few levels up. There's like a canon to film and to literature, right? Like people always pull from the Bible or Shakespeare or myths or fairy tales, and you kind of just keep going back to those wells all the time, and films are no different. And then people start to pull from films themselves. So you see stuff like, oh, that train entered that tunnel suggestively. I'm like, oh, well, that's the end of North by Northwest. That was a homage to that, which was about this, which was about this, was about this. And so it's always fun to look at those things, and the more you watch, the more you know. But I'm glad I have my master's, and I'm glad it's done, and I'm glad I can hold it in my hand and say I did this. So, yes. So it's exciting. So I took a page out of my mom's book, or something she wished she'd done, because like when she got her master's a number of years ago, her computer crashed after she got her degree, and so she lost literally all of her work, everything she had written. And my mom is a writer. Like, she takes great pride in writing. So she lost everything. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that, because I don't trust the cloud enough for it to be there forever. So I So I bound the thesis, and I took a bunch of different just an essay from every other class that I had, and I just picked ones that I liked, and I stuck them in a bound copy as well. Do you want to hear what those other essays are? Because
I meant to ask.
You want to read my yeah.
Yeah, I saw your picture on Instagram where you know it's the name of the thesis and then with additional essays, and I was curious what additional essays did you put in there?
Okay, so are you ready for this? I just kind of picked a bunch of randos, but Superman and Wonder Woman, Immigration and Feminism in 1938 to 1945 America.
Can't wait to read that one.
Face, like face. Oh,
yeah. You fancy, huh?
Yeah, that was years ago. That was my first class that I had taken. Harry Potter and the Mirror of Psychoanalytic Experience. Cinema Verite favoring political personas. Cinema Verite is like documentaries of truth, so they they only show the footage.
Right.
There's no narration. There's no you try to edit as minimally as possible just to kind of show the camera is truth. What you see is what you decide what is true. Nobody's trying to give you their opinion through the camera or through the documentary. JFK's series of becoming there was a series of becoming president, primary and all that stuff. That was Cinema Verite. I did that. Art Provoking Truth and Goodness, which is just a kind of a general artsy-fartsy one. Breaking Through Repression in The Wolfman. Guillermo del Toro in The Political Monster.
Ooh.
And
now was that about Shape of Water as well?
That was what I did. That actually influenced the capstone. But what I did was look at Guillermo del Toro's whole filmography, and I thought how has his life as director influenced authorship? How has his life as director and what was happening in his life directly influenced each progressive film that he made? Some more than others, but his dad was kidnapped when he was an adult, almost right after he made Mimic for Harvey Weinstein. Shudder. Not the movie, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
But his dad was kidnapped and held for ransom, and so in Mexico City, so they had his family had to pay the ransom, and then they all left Mexico. He was like, "We can't live here anymore; it's too dangerous." And so he put himself in exile from his home country because he was still living in Mexico at the time, and he was like, "Nope, we can't live here anymore.
Wow.
It's too dangerous." So then a bunch of films immediately following that are about displacement. And what does it mean to be displaced? So I'll give you. I know you've seen it. So he was displaced. He went into exile and then made Hellboy. And what is Hellboy? But a character who doesn't fit. Yeah, just with a bunch of characters that don't fit into the world in which they are living. And what is their place now that they're here? And then Hellboy 2 is even a continuation of that same thing. So very interesting. And then this one, I know you'll enjoy, The Stigma of Masculinity in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, I can't wait to read that. We need to do a Kickstarter so that you can do a run of these books and get them sold.
Oh gosh, no. This is more than enough. I got a job.
Oh man. But people need to read this.
I mean, if anybody wants to read it, just let me know. You can DM me on Twitter at TimothyPG13. That's it. I'd be happy to share. But it was good fun, and I honestly just put those in this bound copy so it was bigger, so it would sit better.
Sure.
Yeah. So it looks better.
That's great, dude. I'm so happy for you. I'm excited for you. Crooked sticker notwithstanding, this is you should be very proud of yourself.
The crooked sticker sounds like a Nancy Drew mystery.
The mystery of the crooked sticker. Oh boy. No, truly, I'm very happy for you. And I know how hard you've worked over the last couple of years, and I'm really glad that you have that you've finished it. You've accomplished something really, really great, and you have this awesome piece to show for it in the end. So cheers to you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much, my friend. Why don't you take us out by telling everybody where they can find us?
For sure. You can find more of this brilliant gentleman at beerwithgeeks.com, at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. You can hear he and I, but really you want to hear him talk more at some of our other shows that are part of the Thought Bubble Audio Network, shows like Academy Rewind and Read Up, where he does sort of mini little versions of this sort of analysis on all the books that he's reading at any given time. You can also follow this podcast on Twitter at Beer with Geeks. Email us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. You can find us anywhere podcasts are found, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, all those places. Please rate and review us on those places, especially Apple Podcasts, because that really does make a big, big impact in helping this show get discovered. So please do that if you have a moment. If you want to, we may not have a Kickstarter for the book, but we do have Patreon, patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. Where you can support us and help us to continue to produce these shows and pay the bills and keep the network going. So please take a moment and do that if you are so inclined. I think those are all the best places to find us. And at Timothy PG13 on Twitter and at Frank Ramblings on Twitter for me. Think those are all the plugs that we have. Thank you again, my friend, for this. This was great. I loved it.
No, yeah, this was great. Thank you for allowing me to say some stuff. That's always exciting. So, until next time, cheers.